Hi everyone, my name is Alan. It's me again. So today I have a new guest speaker, which is Kaela. Hi Kaela. Hi.
Hi.
Hi Kaela. So Kaela is an undergrad student in University of Exeter, England, and her major in sports and exercise science. Let's talk about your university application when you are choosing your favorite program. So
Mhm.
you've mentioned in your video, you've mentioned that you actually choose the course and the university based on your interest, right?
Yeah.
So how would you balance interest and career opportunities while choosing the program?
So I always think it's important that you enjoy what you're studying because ultimately you're going to pay more attention, you're going to be more
Mm,
engaged, and that's where you can enhance your ability, I think. And then you're able to go on, and if you come out with a good grade, ultimately it's going to be a lot easier to find a career path afterwards.
mm,
But also, if you go onto a lot of the university websites and look at the course you're interested in, they have a section about careers, and they often list the potential careers you can go into with the degree and
mm,
what the success rate has been like for previous students. So I use that to help make an informed decision about
mm.
whether my course was going to be able to allow me to go into careers I'm interested in.
About choosing the university. In the video, you have mentioned a lot of categories of information like the overall satisfaction, teacher-to-student ratio, career opportunities within the university guide or the university
Hmm.
table. While you're looking at those tables, do you have any priority of those categories? Or you think
Um,
they are equally important?
I personally had a look at student satisfaction as maybe
Mm,
one of my higher priority ones, as you're going in as a student. So you want to see how other people have experienced it
mm,
because a lot of the time they'll jazz it up so it looks incredible because obviously they want you to come to their university, but
mm,
students will tell you how it is. So I
mm,
think if you have a look at that, and that obviously influenced my decision quite a lot. And then also looking at whether the university was in the Russell Group. So a Russell Group university in England it's kind of like the equivalent of the Ivy League in America.
mm, mm,
So these Russell Group universities are held to a
mm,
slightly higher standard in research and teaching.
mm,
So the University of Exeter is actually a Russell Group university, and it's
mm.
something that I thought was quite important because if I'm going to be paying a lot of money to go to university, I want to make sure I'm going to a good one.
Yeah.
So when I was researching, I researched it on student satisfaction, whether it was a Russell group. And then I also looked at the overall satisfaction as well, because I think that's important from teaching staff.
Mm.
Teaching staff and students, because if they're enjoying teaching, then it means your quality of teaching is also going to be a bit better.
That's
That's
true.
how
That's
I see
true.
it. So
Very wise.
I use that as my main filters, but you can also filter the university tables by course.
Mm,
So say, for example, you're really interested in law and
mm,
you wanted to filter all these universities by their law students satisfaction, the overall satisfaction within the law department, then you're able to go to the top of some of them and filter it by the course you want. So I found that to be really helpful too, because it makes it a bit more specific to you and um, a bit more applied, I suppose.
right. Yeah. But when you look at those university tables or while choosing all the programs universities, have you or did you have any assistance from like those education consultant? Or you mainly
So
do all that by them yourself?
um, at school, I had a tutor, I suppose, and this person was just one member of teaching staff I was able to go to, and they would sit down and help you out a bit.
How many months how many months in advance did you prepare for the admissions?
I went to university in 2018,
Right.
September. So I think I started having a look in the summer of 2017. So the year
Wow.
beforehand.
Well,
I was just
one
having
whole
a
year.
look. It sounds really, really far away, but with the
Yeah.
deadline, it's only like about 6 months of just picking university courses and writing out a personal statement, double checking that and redrafting it a few times and then sending it all off. So it's quite a long process.
How many personal statements do you need to write for? Do you need to write for each university or?
No, so you apply with one personal statement for all the universities, I think. Well, that's what I did for my one. I applied with one personal statement to all these universities because I decided I was going to study sports science. So all of my applications were the exact same and you just sent off a personal statement. But I think I wrote a first draft, then a second draft, then a third draft, and then I had my final one. So
That's quick. That's quick.
It's not too bad. So I think, again, when writing your personal statement, use the teaching staff around you as support to just proofread, or I got my mom to proofread mine a few times just to make sure that like the sentences flowed and my punctuation was correct, because my mom didn't necessarily understand the sporting context I put into it, but as long as all my punctuation, my spelling was all okay, then it made sense to me. So it was okay to show off. But definitely with that, there's online resources to help write a personal statement, but teaching staff and members of education around you definitely will be able to help you because they will have helped students before you apply to university. So it's definitely helpful. And most universities as well on their websites sometimes have what they recommend to put in a personal statement. So it's not something that you have to do completely alone. It's something that there's a lot of resources out there to help you get started and write about it.
What do you think the most challenging part to write it? Like the most difficult part while you're drafting this personal statement for all five options, like 5 universities programs?
I think so. With mine, I structured it so that it was why I wanted to study it. And that should be a pretty easy section to write when you're going to university, like why is you're interested. And then I put in a section about previous reading I had done that tied in and what about that reading I found interesting. So I had gone onto I've gone onto one of the universities and found one of their recommended readings and I'd read about that. And then in my personal statement, I put a little bit in about, oh, I read this book by this person and I found this chapter, say, on anatomy really interesting. So then that ties in a bit to that university and you show, oh, I've been a bit proactive and I've had a look and this is what I found and I thought this is really interesting. Or even if it's watching like TED Talks online, videos like that, just so you've shown a bit of initiative and a bit of responsibility about your learning, then they'll be, oh, that's really interesting. Like she knows a bit about it already, or he knows a bit about it. And then also I tied in what IB or A levels I'd chosen and how they tied in. So I did an A level in biology because I came to England to do A levels. And I put that when I was learning about the cellular functions and stuff like this, I was able to better understand nutrition and how this was all broken down. And that tied nicely to the nutrition module in my degree. So just being a bit more thoughtful about how things tie together then shows a bit more initiative as to, oh, they've done this and it ties into this and they've read this and they've done this. And then at the end, also just putting in if you've held any positions of responsibility at your school. So when I was at school, I was a prefect. So that meant I had a bit more responsibility liaising with teachers and with students, something like that. So they see you're also a bit more proactive and you can hold these roles of responsibility. Stuff like that. It seems really minimal, but that can actually go a long way. So I think it's quite hard to start writing it, but I brainstormed on a little spider diagram, just a few things here and there about what I was interested in, what I'd read, what positions I'd done, and how my current learning had tied into my future learning, so to speak. And once you have it all out and you're able to visualize it, it's a lot easier then to start writing.
Well, that is actually quite inspiring. Like, if yeah, so actually, I would think this way for this. I think for this, for the DSE students or the students, first of all, they should actually do a spider web,
Yeah.
like a mind map, to see what are your interests, what do you read, what are you interested, and do some researches about the books, do some research about the university readings as well. What kind of
Yeah.
readings of that course, of that specific courses will do, and also show them, being proactive to the schools, that you are actually, you are really willing to learn something or
Mm.
to do something for my university. And I think this initiative is really important. So I think I will leave the time for the next episode about Kaela's experience in participating in the sports society, applying her interest and passion in the university. Let's go to the next episode. See you. Bye bye.
Bye.